The C-SPAN networks bring you long-form public affairs programming from the nation's capital and are a public service of your television provider. C-SPAN, created by cable.
Let me ask you some more about Bernie Sanders. When was the first time you knew that he was even thinking about running for the presidency?
I had heard buzz or rumors, whatever, around Washington that he might be thinking about it. And so I went to see him in his office, and I said, "Hey, what do I hear?" And he told me he was thinking about it. And this was 2014, but he was only thinking about it in this sense that two things. He had realized that the only way people will seriously take you seriously or take your issues seriously, the issues that and the ones that he cares about, income inequality, we know what the list is now, is if you run for president. You can be a senator, you can yap and yap and give speeches, and it's just another senator. If you're a presidential candidate, there's some aura about that people listen. Number one. Number two, so he thought the progressive issues that he talks about should be front and center in this 2016 presidential primary. And somebody had to do it. And if somebody else did it, fine. But if nobody else did it, he was thinking that he might do it. And of course, the other person at the time, everybody thought, would be Elizabeth Warren. If Elizabeth Warren had run, I'm pretty confident saying Bernie Sanders would never have run.
Did he ask your opinion on whether he should run?
Not at that time.
Did he later?
He later did.
When? How?
So at the first meeting, I said, if you're really serious, what you ought to do is you ought to get a group of people together who've been involved in presidential campaigns. And before that, I just said, if you do this, my fear is you're going to run, you're going to be another Ross Perot or another Ralph Nader and take votes away from the Democrat. You're just going to help elect a Republican. He said, I would never do that. I would never do that. I would never do anything to help a Republican win the White House. I said, well, then if you're really serious about this, you ought to get a few people together and just let them know what you're thinking about and get their opinion and get some real solid advice about whether this is realistic or not or worth pursuing. And so he said to me, that's a good idea. Would you organize that? And I did. And I did.
What happened then?
Kicked it around at my house. And at that time, people were saying, yeah, this is worth pursuing. And it looked like there was Tad Devine, who is now one of his chief advisors, was there and kind of laid out what he thought could be a plan. The realistic chances were of how much money they might be able to raise, how much it would take, when they'd have to start, kind of a very preliminary sort of strategy. And there was a group of about 10 or 12 political strategists who listened, gave their good advice, and everybody was sort of saying, that was it. This is worth pursuing. It's not crazy. It's obviously a real uphill battle. You're going to be up against the biggest political machine in the country and one of the best and most experienced people in the country, Hillary Clinton, and who knows who else, right? So it's a way, 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 way long shot, but it's not crazy.
How long ago was that?
It was probably in, I'd have to say maybe April of 2014.
And he announced when?
He didn't announce until maybe April or March. I'd have to go back of 2015.
And how much more of that did you pursue? How much more did you start to get interested in? Did he ask you at any point that, why don't you come work for me?
No. The only thing he did, he called me and then at one point and said, so I may be off. I'd have to check. If I had my cell phone, I could look at the photos and tell you. But at one point he said, he called me and he said, I learned a lot at that. That was good. Do you think we could have another meeting like that? And we did. Again at my house. Carol cooked beef stew the first time. It was chicken cacciatore the second time. I thought I'd tell you that before you asked.
And if you want to buy Carol's scarves, you can find them on your website.
No, yes, she has her own website, carolpressscarves.com.
But you can link through your website.
at billpressshow.com, right. So we had a second meeting at our house, and then at that time it was much more, by that time things had moved along, meaning it was pretty clear Elizabeth Warren was not going to run at that time. Bernie was more serious about it. And then it came really down to, okay, if you're going to run, you have to run as a Democrat. Well, actually, the first meeting, everybody said that. If you're going to run, you have to run as a Democrat. Don't even think about running as an independent. Run as a Democrat, otherwise you won't have any support at all. The second time, it was more like, okay, you know, this is not only not crazy, but yeah, you probably ought to do this.
I suspect you wouldn't tell me who else
And that was in November, as I believe, 2014, just to...
I suspect you wouldn't tell me who else was at this dinner.
Yeah.
It was done off the record.
Yeah.
But I do want to ask you, that were there people at that dinner that now support Hillary Clinton?
I don't know. Not that I know of, but I don't know.
Was there ever a time where you're involved in the process now that you worried that it would interfere with your talk show responsibilities?
No, because well, first of all, as a talk show host, I could endorse. I wanted to endorse. I certainly endorsed Barack Obama. And by the way, in 2008, I endorsed Hillary Clinton over Barack Obama. But no, I was just really doing a favor for a friend and getting some people together and giving him an opportunity to make his case. Now, I wasn't that. And by the way, again, the rules were just come and listen, no commitment. You're not, by coming, you're not signing on to the Bernie Sanders campaign.
Was he there, by the way, for both those?
Oh, yeah.
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 But,
and his wife.
By the way,